It's the winter time, and a lot of times this time of year we get the winter blahs. It affects a lot of people, including seniors who a lot of times are shut in at home. Joining me now at the desk is retired Pastor Abe Block, who's also a senior in his own right. Welcome back to Bridge City News.
Thank you, thank you. Good to be here, Hal. Yeah.
So Abe, let's talk a bit about what seniors go through during the winter months. I mean, the best part about winter is Christmas, right? But how about some of the challenges that seniors really face nowadays?
Well, there are lots of challenges for seniors. One of them is, of course, the weather. Seniors hate the winter from the standpoint of the insecurity of walking. And many of them have canes and some of them have walkers. That's a handicap in the wintertime, anytime. And I have noticed, though, in particular, one place where seniors get hurt a lot, believe it or not, is on a churchyard.
Really?
Yes.
It's a lot of the ice or snow there?
Because it seems to me to save finances, a lot of churches don't really clear their yards that well.
I see.
And so seniors come out of the yard, you know, and they're getting out, and some of them have walkers and stuff. First of all, walkers don't work well in that way. Canes don't work well in that weather. And any slip for a senior on the churchyard, boom.
And recovering is a lot longer too for
Recovering
seniors
is
too,
way
right?
longer.
You break a hip, I
Yeah.
mean, whatever bone, it takes a lot longer, doesn't
And
it?
the thing is, our bones and stuff are fragile, much more so. They become brittle, obviously. You know, it's just the way it is. And so we as seniors struggle a little bit with that. And along with the weather, of course, too, is you don't get out as much because of that. And then loneliness creeps in. And
Well, it's harder on the bones too, isn't it? The cold weather, the cold temperatures, you feel it a little bit more.
well,
Aches and pains?
I am one
That's
of
why
those,
you fly south of the winter, right?
Yeah, you're right. But I'm one of those lucky ones. I'm always hot.
Oh,
Yeah, being as it is, I'm always hot, which is kind of good. But I know that my wife, for example, is always cold.
right.
She doesn't like the winter at all because of the cold, and so we need to turn the heat up in the house
Right.
and bundle up like crazy. Like when it comes to walking, we like to walk every day. Well, in the winter, we don't walk outside, you know, because of conditions and stuff like that. So we'll find places inside where we can walk, but we love to walk.
Maybe a treadmill, perhaps, you can use that too? Or?
Oh, very much so. I think a lot of seniors have the treadmill. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think, speaking of that, I think that's an important thing for seniors to realize they need to do. They need to be at least a little active in order to keep the body functioning properly,
Right.
to keep the mind functioning properly. And I think exercise in the winter is very important.
Maybe a little bit of shoveling too?
Well, yeah, but not too much.
Right.
I know that's a challenge.
How do you know when enough's enough? Just listen to your body?
Listen to your body. I think too many of us try to do it all at one shot, and we shouldn't. I know my wife and I moved into a condo situation. It's a ground floor condo, which is nice because we have yard, front and back and stuff. But all of our shoveling is taken care of. All the irrigation is taken care of. All the lawn cutting is taken care of. I thought I would really miss it because I love doing that kind of
Well,
stuff.
especially lawn cutting, the smell, a little bit of the exercise, the fresh air, the sunshine.
But I've enjoyed this simply because we also have grandchildren, children, great-grandchildren, and grandchildren all across Canada and into the States. So we spend a lot of time on the road going to visit them. Another thing seniors can do. Kids have work. They can't always come to visit you. You have time. You can go and visit them. We do a lot of that, so it's nice to have this taken care of. I'm not always looking for somebody to cut my grass, to mow or to get rid of the snow and stuff like that.
Do we find many young people coming around door to door? I mean, to earn a few extra bucks. I used to do that as a kid. My buddies and I would take our shovel, go door to door, knocking on the doors, shoveling driveways and sidewalks for, I don't know, $10 or $5, whatever it was back then.
I think it's a great idea,
Yeah.
and I know that my grandchildren do that. In our area, of course, it's kind of a seniors complex, and like I said, well, it isn't a seniors complex, but it seems a lot of us seniors live there. But it's done for us, and so I don't see it in our area. But yeah, that does happen.
How about younger people helping out seniors when it comes to getting groceries? Do we see much of that these days?
I think it used to be more than it is nowadays. Nowadays, you've got this skip the dishes kind of a thing,
Right.
and you've got all this. You can phone in and get your grocery shopping done and just go and pick it up.
Right.
So you've got a lot of that, and so that doesn't happen quite as much anymore. And I think quite a few seniors are taking advantage of that, and I think a lot of others too. But I do feel that it's important for seniors to have focus and to have purpose.
Right.
And so they need to find that within the ability that they have.
How about volunteering?
Volunteering, I think, is a phenomenal way to do it. My wife and I volunteer twice a week at a thrift store, for example. We also volunteer in the church. We volunteer with our kids and grandkids. And we volunteer, for example, I'm president of our condo association. You know, there are so many opportunities, if you're just looking for them, where people could use your help. And as long as you have the ability to do something.
So it really is a win-win. You're helping somebody else,
Absolutely.
but at the same time, you're keeping mentally alert, sharp, focused, right?
Yeah.
And contributing back to the community?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the involvement also, for example, I love to teach Bible studies. I think that helps my mind stay alert. I do a lot of reading. That helps my mind stay alert. And I think anything that you can do within the limits that you feel comfortable with, mind you, anything that you can do that, to keep yourself focused and alert and with a purpose. I remember one couple I talked to, this was years ago, and they went out for breakfast every single day. And I said to them, don't you get sick and tired of that? That's our focus to start every day.
Right.
We don't want to just lie in bed or whatever. We know that we're going out for breakfast, and that gets us started in the day, and then at least we're in progress already. But I think too many seniors just sit around the house and watch television and do stuff like that.
Or maybe mope around and just,
Or mope around, yeah.
maybe a pity party.
Become discouraged. Pity party. Become
Right.
discouraged.
I can't do that. I'm such and such an age. Yes, you can do that. Get up, walk around, be more active. Like you said, get back to your community.
Yeah.
You know, maybe go read to other seniors, people who are maybe 10 or 15 years older than you are, who might be shut in, right?
I think we can easily do more sometimes than what we think we can do. But I had a mentor of mine years and years ago. We were talking about church, and we were talking about being involved in the church, not as a senior, but just as a younger person. And he looked at me and he said, it's amazing how many people come to me and say, I can't do that. And my question is, have you tried it? How do you know you can't till you've tried it? But you see, the problem is this word failure, and I think that applies to seniors. The word failure sticks in our minds so often.
What about confidence when it comes to driving during winter conditions? I know many seniors will say, you know what, or at dusk. You know, I can't see quite as well. I don't want to drive at that time. Wintertime, I hate driving. So they shut themselves in for 4 or 5 months of the year.
Yes.
They're not going anywhere because
Yes.
they don't trust themselves behind the wheel during snowy and icy conditions.
Well, I think there's safety in that, and if the ice conditions are that bad, and if your visibility is that poor, that's one thing. But you don't have to drive long distances. Keep yourself active by just taking short little distances in your vehicle. But I know, for example, I talked to my sister who just moved from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, beautiful area.
Back to Canada.
What? Why would you leave
well,
paradise?
Hey. Yeah. Well, she lost her husband down there, and she's
Oh,
been down there for, I don't know, 15 years or something like that. And her family is up here. Her children and grandchildren are up in Canada, and she has a lot of siblings, brothers and sisters.
And we have a
mine.
lot of mountains
They're
here
in
too. We have a
Ontario.
lot of beauty here as well, right?
We do over here,
Yeah.
but she lives in Ontario.
Oh, okay.
And so she sold her car down there, and I talked to her just the other day, and I said, so what are you doing about a car? She said, I'm not getting one until spring. I said, why not? She said, I'm not going to start off in Canada in winter. I haven't driven in snow in 15 years. And so maybe that's a smart idea.
Did she ask if you still put the chains on the tires?
Yeah, right.
Steel studs? Remember the
steel
old days,
studs.
the steel studs?
I did not realize that you can still have studs in your tires here. I thought
there you
they'd been
go.
outlawed.
Right,
Outlawed.
right.
But they haven't been.
Abe, how important is it, you know, I mean, you're well into your, what, you're 81 years young.
81 years old.
81 years
Yes,
young.
81.
How important is it for you and for other seniors to really impart some of that wisdom and life experience to the younger generation? You know, to help them learn some valuable lessons along the way and say, look, this is the road I went down. Maybe this isn't the road you necessarily should go down. You know, just impart some of that wisdom and life experience with younger people.
The challenge with that, Hal, is, some of the people in the church that I attend right now have talked to me about that. You know, do we do a good job of helping or getting the wisdom from these people? You know, not our generation, our world caters to the youth. And I think they've pushed the seniors who have that wisdom and experience. They've pushed them out of the way, and I think sometimes the churches are doing the same thing. We cater to the youth, and then we have all these seniors over here who have a lot of ideas and wisdom and stuff, but we don't use it. And I've been encouraging the people in my church, don't be afraid to ask. We don't need positions. That's the difference. I never need another position in the church. I've had lots of them. But come and ask me. And so that's the challenge. Do the young people want it? Am I pushing myself if I try and suggest it to them? Or do I sit back and wait till somebody asks for it? That's the challenge. To find that medium where you're free to offer it, but it would be nice if you could be asked. You feel better that way rather than, you don't want to give the impression you're all smart and everything and you're going to force it on. No, you don't want to do that at all.
But why do you think it is in Asian cultures, in particular in Japan and China, seniors are held in such high regard, such high esteem? We lift them up. But here in North America, like you said, a lot of times seniors are kind of pushed to the side.
I wish I had the answer
Different
for that.
mentality completely, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I wish I had the answer to that. I like that idea over there, And if we could at least have a happy medium, put it somewhere in the middle. But our society, Hal, by and large, caters to youth in athletics, in music, in everything. I mean, you've got some of these guys that have hung on in music, till they were older and older, and that's fine. But most of the stuff caters to the youth.
I was thinking of the Rolling Stones. Their first farewell tour was 1969.
Exactly.
And here we are, how many years later?
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
And, there's some good stuff that seniors have to offer.
Right. What about colds and flus? This is the time of year many people are sick, even around here, around Bridge City News. We're missing a few of our regular team members here. But it's even, a lot of seniors are even more susceptible because their immune system may be even weaker.
It is.
Right?
It is. And the immunity is one thing, but even the whole idea of the lungs in particular can't take the extremes anymore that they used to as you age. And I notice that even with myself, I have to be a little more careful. I'm not sure how some guys do it, but for example, this is getting reflective up here. And I find in winter, for example, I have to wear a hat. If I don't wear a hat, I'm running the risk of picking up a cold because that's where the heat of the body really escapes. And so I think for seniors to be careful, for example, for guys like my age, I don't, but I know a lot of guys that do and should, wrap a scarf around your neck, to be more careful about the difference in the temperatures up there.
You should also be careful too if you're cold as a senior when it comes to fireplaces, especially a lot of the wood-burning fireplaces, right? The challenge is there with the embers and not cleaning it up properly and the flu.
Yeah. All of those things that I think pertain more so to seniors. As you age, your immune system weakens. As you age, your bones weaken, become more brittle. As you age, the mind even weakens, it seems. So whatever we can do to strengthen those on an ongoing basis, just to avoid some of this other stuff, I think that's good.
We've talked about some of the negative aspects of growing older, but Abe, why don't you share with our viewers in our closing moments here what you've really enjoyed about maturing and getting older?
Well, I think for one of my things is the responsibilities begin to lessen. Responsibilities directly, but responsibilities for interaction, for relationships, for passing along what you know. I think those are good things. But to me, one of the biggest satisfactions still is to be involved. I don't want to be sitting on the sidelines. I don't want to be sitting in the bench.
Be active.
I remember when I retired as a pastor and I came to the church I'm at now, a lot of people that used to be my parishioners at one of the churches all attend there now. And they came in and said, "When are you going to preach?" And I said, "I'm not going to preach here. We've got all kinds of good preachers over here. I'm going to sit and listen. But I can do Bible studies. I can teach over here. I can be involved." To me, not having the responsibility and the headaches, but having the joy of helping people.
Awesome. Retired Pastor Abe Block, thanks so much for your time today and joining us here in studio.
Pleasure to be here.
On behalf of all of us here at PCN, I'm Hal Roberts. God bless and have a great night.